I smoked DMT, and something followed me back. I've only told this story to 2 people in my life, and even then, I left parts out, because I was scared they'd think I lost my mind, but I didn't. At least, I don't think I did. This happened to me in 2019, and even now I'm not sure I ever fully came back from it. That sounds dramatic, I know, but once you hear what happened, maybe you'll understand why. This wasn't a bad trip. It was something else. Back then, I was 26, living alone in a small downtown studio. Brick walls, dusty windows, weird plumbing that clanked every time the heat kicked in. I'd just gotten out of a long-term relationship, and emotionally I was disconnected. I wasn't sad. I wasn't angry. I was just blank. Nothing meant anything. Nothing tasted like anything. Days just passed. I'd always been curious about psychedelics, but never in a let's get high way. I wanted something spiritual, something that would shake the snow globe in my brain and force me to feel something again. That's when I started reading about DMT. I read every trip report I could find. Arrowhead, Reddit, forums full of people describing impossible things. Godlike beings made of light, hyperdimensional rooms of shifting geometry, feelings of cosmic understanding. Some of them sounded peaceful, others terrifying. But the one thing they all agreed on? It was fast, 10 to 15 minutes, in and out. Just like salvia, but deeper. More profound, more real. I started asking around quietly. A friend of a friend connected me to someone who could get me a small batch of NDMT, freebase, pale yellow, crystalline. I bought a gram. It came in a tiny Ziploc bag the size of my thumb. I remember holding it in my hand, like it was radioactive, like it could change me. I guess it did. I waited 3 days before trying it. I wanted to be in the right mindset. I wasn't drinking, no weed, no distractions. The night I finally did it was quiet. No traffic, no sirens, no parties down the hall. Just silence. I turned off my phone, cleaned my apartment, made tea. I didn't want music. I wanted to hear everything. I sat on a pillow on the floor with a salt lamp in the corner and a blanket wrapped around my shoulders. I loaded about 25 milligauss into a little glass pipe, the kind they call the machine. My hands were shaking. I took a deep breath, sparked the lighter, and inhaled. The smoke was sharp and chemical, burning plastic and mothballs. Bitter. I held it in. 5 seconds. 10. 15. And then, everything collapsed. The room exploded into motion. Every molecule around me vibrated at an impossible speed. The salt lamp burst into fractals. My walls peeled open like paper. Light spilled through. I didn't feel like I was on a drug. I felt like I was leaving. A tunnel opened in front of me. No, not opened. Appeared. It didn't follow physics. It was like my brain turned inside out and made a portal out of thought. And then I was moving through it. Fast. Faster than anything in real life. Beyond thought, beyond sound. Until I wasn't in my body anymore. The place I landed in wasn't trippy. It wasn't colors and shapes. It was built. It felt engineered. Everything was alive. but not biological. It was like walking through a cathedral made of light, glass, and code. There were floating glyphs in the air, symbols that twisted and pulsed like they were trying to speak. And in the middle of it all was a presence. I didn't see it, exactly. I felt it. It didn't look human. It didn't have a face. It was a structure of thought, a pattern wrapped in consciousness. It watched me. Not like a ghost. Not like an angel. It watched me like a scientist watches a specimen. Curious, focused, slightly amused. I didn't feel scared. Not yet. In my mind, or wherever I existed, I projected a thought. Are you real? And instantly it answered, not in words, but in perfect understanding. You called us, so here we are. It moved closer. Or maybe I did. I couldn't tell if I had a body anymore. Suddenly, it entered me. Not physically. It was like it reached into my being and started sorting through my memories like someone flipping through a photo album. I saw flashes of my childhood, arguments with my dad, the time I almost drowned in second grade, my first kiss, my first funeral, my old dog dying. Everything. It wasn't judging. It was studying with surgical precision. Then it found something. I don't know what. But whatever it was made everything change. The light in the space shifted from white and gold to purple, red, black. The walls of the room began to twist. The glyphs in the air stopped spinning and froze. The being pulled back, not because it was finished, but because it had seen something it didn't like. That's when I felt it. A new presence. Not light. Shadow. It didn't arrive. It just was, suddenly. A spider-shaped absence of form, darkness with legs, crawling sideways across the geometry like a glitch in reality. It reached for me. And then it latched on. It hit my chest like a black hole. I felt its weight, not like emotion, but like gravity. A spiritual density that crushed everything it touched. And suddenly, the original being was gone. The tunnel reopened behind me, but this time it didn't feel like I was returning. It felt like I was fleeing. I was being sucked out of this world, spiraling backwards through light and time and dimension. But the thing on my chest didn't let go, and right before I snapped back into my body, I heard a voice. Low, distorted, cold. You shouldn't have come here. I gasped awake, lying on the floor, my body soaked in sweat. The blanket wrapped around me like I'd been strangling myself. My heart was slamming against my ribs, ears ringing, mouth bone dry. But here's the part I can't explain. The pressure in my chest was still there. For the next 3 hours, I sat on my couch, silent, not moving. Lights off, the apartment felt wrong, like I'd returned to the right place physically, but something in me was still elsewhere. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw it. The tunnel, the spider, the symbols, that thing's voice. I kept looking over my shoulder, feeling like something was watching me from outside the room. The feeling didn't go away the next day, or the day after. For weeks, I saw shadows out of the corner of my eye. Lights flickered when I entered rooms. Electronics glitched. My dog barked at nothing. I stopped watching TV because the static on the screen started forming patterns. I could feel it trying to talk to me again. I stopped smoking, stopped drinking, didn't touch another psychedelic. I burned sage. I prayed to gods I didn't believe in. I saged the entire apartment, floor to ceiling, slept with the lights on. I even moved furniture around, trying to break the pattern, whatever that means. Nothing helped. I stopped meditating. I stopped reading trip reports. Because part of me started to think, maybe this wasn't a trip. Maybe I opened something. After about 2 months, the sensations faded, gradually, like fog lifting. The lights stopped flickering. The shadows stopped crawling. I could sleep again. But even now, years later, sometimes when I'm alone and the house is too quiet, I feel it again. A presence. Watching. Waiting. Like it never left. Like it's still attached. And part of me wonders, did I bring it back? Or did it let me go?